Let's be real for a second. The daily news about our climate, it can feel, well, pretty overwhelming. It's just a constant flood of intense headlines and really dire warnings. But what if there's another way to look at all this? A way that shifts the story from one of doom to one of, believe it or not, opportunity. That's exactly what we're going to get into.
First things first, we have to start with the undeniable reality of where we are. This isn't some far-off threat anymore. It's a crisis happening right now. You see it in these devastating moments as wildfires on a scale we've never seen before just tear through our communities.
And you see it in these wild weather extremes that bring catastrophic flooding, literally washing away lives and livelihoods in the blink of an eye. This is what it looks like when communities are shattered, whether it's in Spain or on the other side of the globe.
Okay, so let's zoom out and look at the science behind why this is happening. What you're looking at here shows that for millennia, our planet's atmosphere kept things in a really delicate balance. You can see the natural ups and downs, but for 800,000 years, atmospheric CO2 never, ever pushed past 300 parts per million.
Well, that balance is officially broken. In just the last century or so, we haven't just pushed past that natural ceiling, we've completely shattered it. As of 2024, carbon dioxide levels have skyrocketed past 400 parts per million, and that's a level our planet hasn't seen in all of human history.
And here's the thing, these changes don't just happen in a neat little box. Global warming sets off this complex chain reaction, a cascade of effects. You get rising sea levels and extreme weather, which then leads to shortages of things like food and water, which can lead to people being displaced and can even spark conflict. It's all connected.
So when you look at all that, it's pretty easy to feel a sense of doom. I mean, that's a totally normal reaction. But we have to stop and ask a really important question. Is that the only way to see this story?
Okay, so let's dive into that idea. Thinkers like the journalist Fred Pierce argue that despair is actually a trap. As he puts it, pessimism is the enemy of action. And it makes sense, right? If we're convinced we're doomed to fail, why would we ever take the huge, bold steps we need to succeed? And Pierce says there are some powerful global trends that give us a real reason for hope. For one, green tech like solar and wind, they're fast becoming the cheapest energy sources on the planet. And that whole population bomb we used to hear about, it's kind of fizzling out as global fertility rates drop. We're also seeing that nature is just incredibly resilient, with amazing rewilding projects succeeding, often led by the local and indigenous communities who know the land best. And here's the kicker. We're finally learning how to grow our economies without using more resources. We're proving you can have prosperity while using less stuff.
So how do all these reasons for hope come together to create a new economic vision? This is where the whole story flips. It stops being about sacrifice and starts being about incredible opportunity. An economist named Nicholas Stern just completely reframes this entire debate. He argues that tackling climate change isn't some economic burden we have to bear. No, he calls it the single greatest economic opportunity of the 21st century. Think about that. The biggest driver for innovation, for investment, and for growth that we've ever seen.
So we're talking about a total flip of the script. The old way of doing things was all about growth powered by fossil fuels, which was super inefficient and wasteful. The new story, the new way forward, is just smarter. It's cleaner, and it's ultimately way more prosperous, driven by sustainable investment and radical new ideas.
Okay, so that all sounds pretty great in theory, right? But what does this new growth story actually look like in the real world? What's the blueprint for actually making it happen?
The blueprint is all about transforming the big systems that run our world. Energy, water, land, cities, transport. But the real key is to stop thinking about them as separate things. When you start treating them as one big integrated system, a smart change in one area creates all these positive ripple effects everywhere else. So, for example, if you change how we do energy, say by creating local, clean energy grids, you're not just cutting emissions, you're creating waves of positive change. You're bringing reliable power and internet to places that never had it, which unlocks new jobs in high-tech farming, online education, remote work, you name it. You end up building a more connected and efficient world for everybody. So, all of this brings us to the bottom line, to the fundamental choice that's right in front of us.
For so long, we were told this was a painful choice between a healthy economy and a healthy planet. But what we're now realizing is that's a totally false choice. The path to a truly prosperous, dynamic future is the path where we protect and restore our planet. It's not a path to a lesser world, but to a different and, honestly, a much, much better one.
You see, the story of the century is being written as we speak. Our greatest challenge is also our greatest opportunity, a chance to innovate, to build, and to create a thriving world. So the real question isn't whether this new story is possible. The question is, what role are we, what role are you going to play in writing it?